Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm BattleMode, and I'm going to have a look at the patch notes for Shadow Empire that I have missed, because I've not had a chance to play Shadow Empire in ages, as you all know. I'm sure there's a few of you who are watching the various series that I've done and kind of wondering when new videos are going to come out. And I've realised that the thing that's stopping me from playing anything and uploading anything is the fact that I feel I'm pressured to kind of finish all these series that I've started. So I'm going through a bit of a rethink of the channel at the moment and trying to figure out how I'm going to go about this, because every single time that I have a series that doesn't get finished, it really bugs me. Like, if you think it bugs you, it bugs me even more. The other issue is, though, that I just end up not doing anything, and that's also not good. And I've taken some advice from some other content creators, and the general advice that I got was, if you're not enjoying something, or something too much time's gone by, just start a new series. Yes, it can be annoying for people, but most people will just watch the new series. That's what I was told, and I think that sounds fair, right? And so the big issue, the big game at the moment that is the big problem. By the way, the Ice Planet series was pretty much finished. I think that game I could probably finish it in a couple of turns, and I am tempted to finish it off just to put a capstone on that one. But yeah, it's that I actually, because it was really difficult, that game, and then actually it turns out that the AI was also having the same problems as me. So I think that game is probably 10, 12 turns from being completed. So I might go back to that one. The Oceania one, really. I'm still playing that game on the original release patch of Oceania, and look, we've had I think most of this stuff is from Oceania, like since when Oceania was released, right? So look, there's all this new content, and I really want to play it. So I think the Oceania, we had a good look at it. We figured out what it was. I decided that I like it mostly, and I think that I'm just gonna finish that one. I think. Sorry, I'm gonna kind of put a stop to that one and start something new at some point. Anyway. This is going to be a video of me just looking at some of the new stuff, and I'm going to be reacting to this because I haven't seen any of this. So for those of you who don't like videos where it's just battle mode talking, you don't have to watch this. Go and find something else that's more interesting to you. If you're the sort of person who does like hearing me talk about Shadow Empire, this might be cool. Okay, so let's begin. The last patch that I have on my computer is this one here, 1.21. I'm not going to read out fixes, okay? So I'm basically just going to look at the new features. I'm going to try and get through it because there's a lot. So I'm going to ignore fixes. So combat and models. Added vehicle sheer size hit points, not hit points versus infantry, positive modifier from size 6 onwards, to give a nudge to medium and heavy tanks. Okay, medium and heavy tanks are going to be better, great. With a new model creation, trucks, and to a lesser extent APCs, get some simulated weight in their engine power calculations so that their eventual cargo is taken into account, as well as making playing around with engine size makes some more sense gameplay-wise. All right, this is something that I was talking about for a while, that there didn't really seem to be much effect in having different engine sizes. Now this gives it more, there's more reason to. That's great. I love stuff like this. I believe that a lot of the stuff that we're going to be looking at today, by the way, is going to be simulation based, as well as gameplay changes. And it's the simulation stuff that makes Shadow Empire interesting. On top of the gameplay. Okay, population, workers and free folk can now suffer casualties due to structural damage in their hex. Excellent. Yeah, so it can be much higher with higher hazard levels. So don't fire a gun when there's a vacuum outside. Yeah, so that's good. So you can now cause collateral damage. Units get extra hide points after 1,000 millimeter precipitation in a hex. Look at this. This is incredible detail that Vic is putting in here. I love this stuff. So look, when there's been heavy rains, you get extra hide points because you can just get all like Schwarzenegger fighting the Predator in the end when he covers himself in mud, or what's the Apocalypse Now? Not Charlie Sheen, his father, whatever his father was called, like all mud, all with mud up to the eyeballs. The extra hit points coming from AT guns' protective sloping armored plate, which is bigger and more sturdy with bigger guns, has been overdone, and is now calculated based on the caliber millimeter value for the gun. Okay, so yeah, AT guns got a bit of a nerf here. Keeping AT guns as rear area, but yeah, so they're also artillery movement rather than foot movement. Yeah, so they were a little bit too strong against infantry. Also, keeping AT guns is rear area, but they can now be attacked or counterattacked if they have fired in the current combat round. Okay, so yeah, it just makes them a little bit... Apparently these were just overperforming. Models that are stronger in defense than in attack have more ammo expenditure in defense, like infantry, bazooka, machine guns, since there are postures where they will have... These are the postures where they'll have optimal rate of fire. Again, more simulation stuff will also affect gameplay. Love it. Great stuff. General higher costs. I'm just going to skip through this. Yeah, so solar panels have just been making a bit more realistic. Hazard exposure level is now generated based on biohazard toxicity, temperature, air pressure. So again, more simulation stuff. Hazard exposure level determines exactly how dangerous it will be to be exposed to the planet's atmosphere. This is stuff that that felt a bit underbaked in the base game, and not in the base game, but you know, in the release game. I felt that, you know, the planet's atmosphere, things like temperature, didn't really seem to do much, whereas now it looks like it really will. On high exposure levels, much more engineering attention has to be taken to prevent envirosuits or domes to have fissures, breakdowns and whatnot. This results in a hazard surplus cost, which is a higher IP cost for envirosuits and personal armor, asset construction and vehicle construction. Right. So, more difficult planets are going to be more difficult. That's what I'm reading from this. Okay, dangerous planets are going to cost more to, you know, run. Yeah, you're going to see this is going to be a theme as we go through here. Hazard exposure level increases troop type construction costs with 3 times size over 2 times hazard level in industrial points. All right, so yeah, the bigger troop type and the hazard level, the more industrial points. And for infantry, just hazard level in industrial points increase. Hazard exposure level increases asset production cost per round. But reduce for really high metal assets in industrial points. Okay, so again, if you're on a tough planet, everything is going to be much more difficult to build. Hazard exposure level causes more kills in combat. If any non-kill hit placed and round is so yeah, we got a formula here. So if the round hazard level times 10 is greater than the round times the armor level, then a potential lethal puncture pressure loss has been suffered, and the individual subformation will be killed unless it rolls a successful save roll. 40% save chance for regular militia, 60 for seasoned, 80 for veterans. Any minor aliens, arachnids, mutants, alien critters do not suffer these results. All right, this again, more simulation stuff. So when you are fighting, you know, this is going to be a big thing in the early game, I expect. When you've got a really highly hazardous planet, you've got to be more careful in combat. You're going to get a lot more kills and suffer a lot more casualties as a result. Hazard exposure level causes more population, worker and free folk losses when structural damage is inflicted in a hex where they live or work. Can go up to 50% loss at hazard exposure level 10, which is rare. Change the advised development speed. So wow, I mean this is interesting, right? If you bomb an enemy city in an area where there's lots and lots of radiation, for example, or you know, like the high hazard exposure, so very cold or whatever it is, you can get up to 50% of those people die. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I mean, you really could just kind of really go into the strategic bombing thing just to destroy population. Change the advised development speeds. Normal has become fast, slow has become normal, very slow has become slow, a new even slower than epic before very slow epic level has been added. So normal has become fast. Okay, so they've just slowed everything down. So slow has become normal, very slow has become slow, and then they've got a new one, very slow, basically, or epic level. That's good. I think that the in a standard game it was too slow. It was too quick, and I even found slow was a little quick. I think this is nice for people who like these long, epic pace games, like I do. Just to go back to what I was saying about trying to finish series. Just quickly and intersperse it. The idea that I've got now is that I'm pretty much just going to play one game at a time until it's completed. This is what I've noticed other content creators tend to do, rather than trying to do like 3 games at once. Unless, you know, it's just going to be a very short series in the middle of a big long one. I don't have much discipline with stuff like that, but I'm going to try and stick to that, I think. So what that means is, especially in a game that's changing quickly like Shadow Empire, I think when I'm doing a YouTube series now, the reason why I was able to get that very long one done for ExploreMinate, the very long one, where it was, you know, 150 turns, which one? What was it called? Life on Seth. You know, it was when I was playing with alien, you know, like alien life forms, intelligent alien life on the Seth class planet. And that one, the only reason I was able to complete that was because at the time I was at university and I had loads of time. Basically, that's the short answer. So I had loads and loads of time. I didn't really have anything else. I don't have kids or anything at the moment yet. So yeah, I had plenty of time, and it's difficult for me to do that now. So I'm going to pick more reasonable sized games, I think, from now on. You need 4 techs researched instead of 3 in a research group now in order to master it. Good, I like that. Linear tech research is now a bit slow for the first 33 points. Excellent, because that was way too quick. After that, it follows the existing curve. So it resembles more of a hockey stick curve now, and it feels more realistic. That's good. Avoid a flatline metal costs to vehicles for structure and frame construction. This reduces the difference between light equipment and heavy equipment. And the truck only gets half this flatline. So what does this mean? Flatline metal costs for vehicles and for structure and frame construction. Okay, so increased metal costs for vehicles. My buddy Trifler is going to hate this stuff. I think he doesn't like anything where well, sorry Trifler, if you're watching, he doesn't really like stuff where things get more expensive. So I like it. I want the game to be harder. It's too easy. Every time I played Shadow Empire, really, since I got my PhD in Shadow Empire. Because I know this game pretty well now. I found the game too easy, so I want the game to be more difficult, and this all looks to be basically making the game more deep in the simulation and just more interesting and more difficult. I want difficult, and difficulty in a strategy game doesn't have to just come from artificial bonuses or better programmed AI. There's all sorts of ways that you can make it like difficult in a more interesting thematic way. Fortunately, Shadow Empire has so many variables to play with that Vic has really gone. He's gone to town. I don't know a game that's as detailed as this. I think it's even got to the point where I don't know. I just don't think there are any games that are quite as detailed as this. I've been playing the John Tiller games, and I think with regards to what they do, they're not 4X games, obviously, but they are war games, and they are super fine detailed as well. But I mean, they don't cover anywhere near the scope as Shadow Empire. This is a wonderful game. Added flatline oil cost to vehicles as well. Okay, motorbikes get no extra oil costs. Ammo quantities need to have been multiplied by 1. For gas-powered, times 5 for rifles, times 10 for machine guns, and up to 15 for guns. Right. Okay. Now we're starting to get a bit of a difference between rifles and machine guns again, apart from that big attack penalty that machine guns get. So, yeah, he's making it so that ammo is going to be more guns. Look, I don't know what it is that's happened here. I don't know if, I think a lot of the issue, it feels like Vic's mind reading me, or he's been watching all my series, and I know that he doesn't do that. He hasn't got the time, and I used to put out a lot of content, right? But so many of the things that I've been complaining about, he's just fixing, and I think that strikes me as being that the most vocal parts of the Shadow Empire community really are unanimous about a lot of the issues in Shadow Empire, and I think it's, while I always worry when the developer takes too much, listens to the community too much, Vic doesn't do that. He doesn't just, he doesn't get one complaint from one person and then change things. But I think when he gets enough complaints about something, he doesn't just do what people suggest either. That's another thing that I like about this developer. He kind of he's got the bigger picture always. So he's like, okay, we've got a complaint here. Let's figure out what, they're complaining about this specific thing. Let me zoom out a little bit, look at it in a less high resolution way, and see if the complaint that they've got really is what they're saying, or whether it's something else in the game that is, needs fixing. So somebody says, oh, I think the game's too easy. Well, that's kind of, a very low resolution thing. But then he's kind of gone, all right, well, let's go and let's see where we can make the game more interesting. Like, this is the way to nerf stuff, by the way. Developers, you watch this. Stardock do this as well. This is another thing that I like. I've noticed about Stardock with Galciv. When people complain about stuff, they generally don't just kind of remove things or nerf things by adjusting a few numbers. They start changing game mechanics in order to make things thematically more interesting while also reducing the power. Do you see what I mean? And I really like this kind of approach to game design. This is smart game design, in my opinion. Okay. Ammo Factory is now available. It produces ammunitions at approaching the cost of half the cost of artisanal workshopping. Oh, this is awesome. So I've got an ammo factory. Okay, that makes sense. Having to build it all the time was a bit of a, it was a bit of a strange choice. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all the details. Effects of the ammo resistance is that it makes simple infantry more attractive in quite a lot of specific cases. Gas-powered rifles are now also much more interesting. Yes, exactly. This is what I want. Just more variations in what we've got. Like just kind of. I don't want. I don't like 4X games, where you get one gun. Well, not that I don't like it, but there's this kind of like old trope in 4X where it comes from Master of Orion, kind of. Although Master of Orion was actually really good for this, but you get the laser gun, and then the next one is like the pulse laser, and then the next one's like the bigger laser, and then you get the super laser, and it invalidates the one before. Actually, Master of Orion was really good for that because it also had the miniaturization text. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I think that just because you've got a better technology does not mean that it's more effective for what you're trying to use it for. So give me a reason to keep using gas-powered rifles in the game, for as long as possible, especially with the slowed down technological research speed. This is going to be, I love this stuff. This is great. I'm smiling. But more importantly, in general, you'll need good logistics and serious ammo production to keep an offensive war going. Great. Free zone ammo stockage increased by times 20. Initial ammo increased by 8. Okay. AI does not build ammunition factories yet, but gets a discount if it has relevant text. Yes, this gives the AI a small advantage, should be added to the advantages list. Okay. Soil, I don't care about stuff like that. Soil demetralization asset production has been much decreased. Yes. Good. It was actually much overpowered considering it could work anywhere and was more meant as an emergency mining option than the real deal. On top of this, soil demetallization tech has been moved one tier higher. Excellent. Also, regular mining resources have been increased a bit. Good. Right. Soil demetallization and these other infinite generation techs, I kind of don't like them very much. And I think that they really should be there just to deal with emergency situations. I don't think that... I think they should be really expensive to run, and you've got to be punished for it. Either in power or drastically reduce options, because what was going on was that as soon as players were rushing for that, and as soon as they got it, that was it. You don't there's no strategy in having to take metal mines from the enemy. I never really thought, oh, that guy's got a mine, I need to take it. I might want to deny him access to it, but it kind of didn't matter because he's got a soil demetallization asset in every one of his 15 zones. So what was the point? This is an amazing change. I love this kind of thing. This makes the game better because now resources are meaningful again. This makes resources meaningful. This because the soil demetallization asset was basically the money on trees thing. When you got so much money on trees, you've got no. If you can just take money off trees, right? Okay, ignore the inflation side of things, but you basically money's not special anymore, and it's the same with this. Like this is not. It made it so the metal was just trivial to get. And there was a bit of a setup cost, but once you got that setup cost, there was no point to it. So I love this. This is one of the better changes in this particular patch, in my opinion. I love this whole thing. General higher costs. This is great. This just makes the game better. Okay. Big push to make water and food directly, indirectly matter more on some worlds. Again, I'm clapping. Salinity levels are now being calculated. The more mountain and less water, the more salinity. Life forms will reduce salinity by absorbing it to build skeletons and shell-like structures. Oceans and closed lakes, no outflow, have the highest salinity. This kind of autistic detail, man. It's just like, you can tell Vic just loves working on this stuff. Like, he's just like, okay, how can I justify this? Okay, I know the all the life forms are going to be absorbing it. Salinity is kept track of on a hex by hex basis. Brilliant. Okay, so rivers have negligible salinity. Soil dissolved heavy metal ppb. Ocean dissolved heavy metal ppb. pH levels are now being calculated. I'm not quite sure what he means there. Okay. ppb. All right. Salinity and snow can be inspected in SMAP stats. Okay, snow levels are being calculated now. Good. Frozen rivers now give 50% free water compared to non-frozen lizards. Frozen rivers. Frozen lizards. God. Rain collection now impacted by rainwater acidity. Ice mine collection snow from surface now impacted by rainwater acidity. Ice mine collection ice from glacier now impacted by acidity and dissolved heavy metals. Okay, so what he's saying is there's soil dissolved heavy metals (ppb). Okay, are now being calculated, and pH levels. Okay, so he's talking about polluted water basically. This is cool stuff. What a mad game. Like, yeah, this is the most detailed game. This is like getting to Dwarf Fortress levels, but it's even bigger. Ice mining of underground water now impacted up to 66% by dissolved heavy metals in soils. Free water zone rules. Okay, this is all water stuff. Zone free water collection has been nerfed, so halved and repetitive sources impact good, because water was completely meaningless in Shadow Empire. Even on Seth planets, it was just trivial to get. It was my big complaint about the post-apocalyptic side of the game. I felt that was really underused. I never ever had a game where water was difficult to get after the first few turns, really. So that's good. I like this. We might now be able to set up games where survival is very, very hard, and I really want that. Free traded water also impacted like above. Water filtration now impacted by quality of river seawater around it. Yeah, so there's a bunch of text, things like water filtration and stuff that increases water collection. I just never used it. It was never necessary. Water was just completely trivial. Agridome consumes double energy now. Good. Oh, if out of agriculture, terran agriculture temperature range. Okay, so you're going to have to refrigerate or heat up your agridomes. That's good. Hex radiation reduces open farming due to accumulation of radiation. I think that means in the plants. Hex radiation increases water income from sea, but not from glacier. Man, the logic files on this game must be absolutely bloody enormous. Earth plant life now taking roots on the planet, now impacted by dissolved heavy metals in soil and rain pH, and can cause the bigger plants not to grow well. Right. Edibility of alien plants and animals now impacted by dissolved heavy metals in soil. They might not mind, but human consumers would. Ice mining asset no longer uses mining techniques, linear tech, but still uses ice mining economization and mining robotization, bringing it in line with the tech modifiers of the other mines. Ice mining base water income minus 40% compared to the previous. Good. Water purification base water income halved. And energy cost halved as well compared to previous, but it negates up to 25% of the water quality penalties. All right. So he's added a load of penalties basically to water, thematic stuff, and then compensated for it a little. Added tech water detox optimization for water purification assets that allows negating up to 75% of the water quality penalties. Hydroponics food production halved. Good. Worker requirement doubled. Yes, but keep in mind it is still good and could be 4 times better than at start with its 2 linear techs. Yeah, okay. So you got to work for these free, for these free generation things now. You can mouse over water quality of rain in the hex to get detailed info on water glacier, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that was patch I. Massive changes. This is all fixes and fine tunings various. So like, I'll let you guys read through this. I'm not going to go through all the fixes. I think that just to sum this one up, it's all simulation stuff that is going into an overall increasing of difficulty and scarcity in the game, and I love it. This is better. I would rather this was done than adding new features. That like Shadow Empire already has the best features in any war game, strategy game, 4X. But it was just not all working quite right, and some of it was a bit half-baked. He started to tie this all together, and it's getting really tight. We will, the jury's out on how well this has worked. I'm going to have to play to find out, aren't we? Okay, we've got I. So that was I. Okay, we've got J. AT gun model creation is back to half attack values. Okay, these look like fixes. Yeah, these all look like fixes. Okay, laser guns more increased energy use. Plasma guns, yeah. So they're increasing the energy use of different weapons. Interesting. All right. Okay. So again, laser beam and plasma, respectively, are all increasing their energy uses in various ways. Although the energy rifle machine guns stay at the same cost, they remain quite energy efficient. Serpentinization plant requires 3 times the amount of water and produces 33% less energy. Okay. Volcanic energy produces half the amount of energy, which is still quite impressive. Yeah, it was crazy, that one. Free water is now only collected in hexes where you have assets. Ah, Okay, that's a big change. If more than 2,000 workers pop working in Hex, free water is collected here. Less than 2,000 is less collection. Remember that the best free Hex water collection has the most impact, and things taper off with additional collection hexes. Okay, and then it was a few fixes. All right, let's have a look at K. Added extended mine stratagem to the Economic Council. This stratagem will allow you to choose a mine to extend. Must have mining ease level of 2 or more. Effect is that more reserves will become available by digging into lesser deposits. The cost, however, is a drop in the ease of mining. Great, I love that. Small fix to, okay. Fixes. Ammo compaction tech and lightweight ammo tech allow models to carry more ammo, plus 50% each. In case of air models, the ammo compaction tech does not work, but lightweight ammo tech will halve the weight imposed by rockets, missiles. He thinks of everything, man. Like, he just thinks of everything. What a genius. Hyper-explosive ammo tech and actinide tipped ammo tech gives better attacks against soft and hard for ammo-based. So he's adding more technologies. Ultra capacitor tech, double storage, power bank storage, and negates battery self-loss. Now, when a developer starts adding loads and loads of new stuff rapidly, I'm always a bit like, whoa, this game is inflating. I do think that a simulation-heavy game like this can stand it. I thought there weren't enough techs in the game, so here we go. We got more. This is great. Troops, ultra capacitor tech doubles power bank storage. Yeah, okay. Troops, not power banks or zone HQ inventory, lose 10% of their ideal energy storage at the start of the turn because of battery self-discharge. Wow. More simulation stuff. Low air pressure increases projectile velocity for non-range weapons. But including, yeah, okay, wow, that's crazy. So this makes anti-aircraft stronger on low air pressure worlds. Low gravity increases range for ranged weapons. Okay. Wow, that's really cool. So artillery and anti-aircraft weapons are going to be a longer range when you've got low gravity. Fantastic. Initial military forces and minor troop types are also affected by the new low air pressure rule. Geotechnics added. It makes it cheaper to construct roads, rail over difficult landscapes. Cool. Mines tech added. Gives extra 55 attack points first time unit counter attacks against and by non-range, non-backbench land theatre units. Alright, that's interesting. An extra 75 attack points the first time a unit counter attacks. Alright. So if you're defending and, you know, let's say you got a line of infantry and other infantry are coming in to attack you, you get a hefty bonus on counter attack. This is going to make defensive play very, very fun, doing stuff like this. Photonic mines improves upon mines and gives a maximum of 150 plus 20% of hit points to defender in attack points instead of the regular 75 first time unit counter attacks. Mine extra attack points are modified for ammo shortages and for effective unit-based entrenchment. At 100% entrenchment points on top of auto entrenchment, the effect is full. In plain English, there needs to be time to prepare booby traps. Mines are also used by militia. Note that mines tech modifier are logged as a unit feat bonus for the moment. Okay. Echo Tracer Spy Kit. It gives spies more chance to uncover enemy units. Awesome. Chameleon Camo tech. Infantry and vehicles obtain hide points. Wow. So, okay. However, this is most effective at the smallest troop size like infantry. Right. So, okay. One of the biggest problems that Shadow Empire have, and like long-term viewers of mine will know this because I've complained about this until it got fixed, which is like now, that unlike in other war games, you couldn't really ever hide your units because enemy spies just saw the whole, you know, saw all of your units on the field pretty much. Once you'd got like 10 spies into a nation, that was it. You could see everything. I hated that. It was so unrealistic. It was, I mean, even if it wasn't, you know, I had a bit of a debate with my friend that I play this with because he was saying, oh, no, I think it's fine. You know, if you've got a spy in their military cabinet, then they probably can show you where all the forces are. I'm like, yeah, but gameplay-wise, it sucks because it means that you can't ever hide your units. Like, you know, for example, I'm playing Full to Gap 85, which is one of the John Tiller games. And that game is about, you know, retreating your troops into forests and stuff and then hiding and then ambushing. You can't do that in Shadow Empire. Now, I know that the scale is different because, you know, a modern campaign's war game like that is like 1 mile per hex. And, you know, Shadow Empire is what, 200 kilometers per hex, whatever it is. However, I still want that kind of gameplay. I want to be able to do fighting retreat. You know, I want to be able to use it, ambush. And after the early game, ambush just did not come into it. So again, these just like, I think unless you know Shadow Empire really well, these look like small changes, but these are drastic changes to the gameplay. Like drastic. This is a drastic change. I want to be able to hide my units, and now we can. It's superb. Resonance scanner, military tech added. Basically the same effects as advanced scanners, but doubles it once more. Okay, so Ablat coating can be worn from padded armor, padded enviro suit up. Hit points plus 40% versus lasers, plus 20 versus beam, but modified by the minimum of one armor divided by millimeter by 50, or in other words, very light armor has trouble to use the ablative coating properly. Micro nuke firepower tuned down from 1000 to 650. Okay, don't know how I feel about that. I think it probably needed to happen. I've never seen a game unit in a game get moaned about as much as micro nukes did. And I just didn't see it personally. But then I don't play multiplayer very heavily, so I think this was an issue that people were just basically just rushing for micro nukes and then just using those. I think with the overall more scarcity, you know, this whole thing about making things more scarce, more expensive, more difficult, I think that this might be a bit of an overtuning, but I'm just guessing there. I have no idea. I want micro nukes to be powerful. I want them to be able to, you know, they should be. They're a nuclear weapon. They're a tactical nuke. They should be really strong. Tactical nuke grenade launcher tuned down from 15k to 12.5k. Okay, city downgrades are functioning now. All right. Okay, so there. Not some interesting changes there. This is great stuff. This or anything to do with, you know, increasing the range of, you know, of artillery and stuff. That's, you know, in low gravity. That's great. All these new techs look really cool, and the stealth and defensive stuff like the mines, and you know, like you know, landmines, and then you know, the stealth stuff. This is great. I love it. I love it. I think it's awesome. Okay, these are just fixes. Changeless 1.1, less free water again, even more like, so he's nerfing water again even more. Yeah, so he's reducing the amount of free water that you get on regular difficulty and higher. The more chance for water pH variations. Peripheral mining stratagem now has more chance for finding hitherto unidentified rich spots within current reserves. Okay, so a new stratagem. Okay, he's added the alpha test version of the mid-core logistics games variant. I don't think I'll be able to teach the AI to use mid-core logistics before starting on Republica, but at least I want to have players that desire so to have an easier logistic experience without having to manage traffic stops, understanding pull points, etc. Basically, mid-core logistics doesn't see the division of logistic points at road branches. Okay, I don't know. Like I'm in a minority of one on this one. And that minority is, while I love the most difficult logistics, you know, I like the original logistics system, and I'm starting to like the pull system as well. I just wanted it to be more. I don't need it simplifying. I just want somebody to explain how it works properly. That's basically what I want. Because, and I think we've identified now that the problems that I was seeing with it weren't intended. I think they were a bug. And also at certain points when I was complaining, it was me not understanding it too. So I don't need you know, these you know, basic and mid-core logistics stuff. I'm not really interested in it. I'm more interested in, because I like the system. I think it's great. Yeah, this doesn't see the division of logistical points at road branches. Yeah, okay, that's good for people who hate the logistics. I love it. It was just a couple of times when it did something completely unexpected that wasn't logical that annoyed me. Okay, another big one. Fixed organic fur. Okay, fixes I'm not too bothered about. I'm just going to try and find the really, really big things. Reduce the move redux effect if a model is too heavy for its engine. Before, 100% move redux resulted in immobile. Now this happens at 200. Note that negative minus 100 means AP costs are doubled, and at negative 200 it's tripled. Right. So this is one where you've got to you've got to start thinking carefully about how you're going to use your engines. I like that. It's great. It makes the model design much more interesting. Weight stat has been separated into one stat for mobilization purposes. Okay, this is probably just to make logistics easier, I would have thought. The whole point of this operation is to have a clear, consistent weight for all transfer purposes and keeping the logistical weight of ammo when doing battle, and new ammo has been supplied a lot. This game's so detailed, man. Mech and non-mech quad machine gun weapon has reduced effect on hard targets. Good. They were a bit overtuned. Non-mechanized quad machine gun has reduced soft attack and a small movement redux. Mid-core logistics now has pull points and traffic lights turned off automatically. Yeah, I think that's where the multiple logistics systems gets complicated now. Where he allows you to use the stuff that kind of conflicts with it. Big one. Mid-core logistics usage not only removes the logistics points from the exact use trajectory, but also reduces logistics points on other hexes that use the same logistics points as those on the trajectory. This effect is only 50% to keep some incentive to construct multiple roads, but not making this something that can be gamed and push the player into creating a road maze. All right. This looks like Vic's starting to get himself into some kind of, labyrinthine. What do you call it? It's for programmers out there. It's the whole thing with multiple inheritance. It's kind of the same sort of issue. You're heading into the labyrinth with only a sputtering lantern when you start doing stuff like this, in my opinion. Because he's kind of like trying to make things easier for people, but then discovering that the same problems still exist. So he's having to add more and more stuff into it. The logistic. This is my one criticism of the logistic system in Shadow Empire, really, I think, is that there's so much to it now, and like we've now got three, we've got basic you've got the easy logistics, then we've got the mid-core logistics now, and then we've got the old logistics, and we've got the pull system on top of it all, and traffic lights. And they're all really they're all their own systems, and I can't help but feel that this is a question for Vic, really. Like, where are we going with all this? That's what I want to know. Like, are you trying to please everyone? Which I think is a great thing to try. It's got to be hard though. Like, I don't know how I could. This is a complex problem to fix, because it's clear from. I haven't looked at the forums for Shadow Empire for a good while now, but at least in the first year of the game's development, or after the game was released. And I thought that Shadow Empire to me is a finished game. Yeah, like me and Daz Tactic disagree on this. He thinks it's he thinks it should still be labelled as in development. And I mean, technically, it is still being developed, but I disagree, because that would make people think that it wasn't a finished game. And the game on release was playable and complete, right? But for the first year or so, there was a lot of complaints about logistics, and I didn't agree with a lot of them, to be honest. I just thought people were. But then there are people who play it much more than me, who know the game better. I say I've got a PhD in Shadow Empire. There are people who play this, and they've got like 3 PhDs, 4 postdoctorates, and a big badge saying I am dead clever on it as well. So I'm really not that experienced with Shadow Empire compared to some of the really hardcore testers and players. And I think it's some of those guys who are making a lot of these complaints. I just think that. I can't help but feel that the logistics system is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more and more and more options. It's partly people like me that are causing this problem, and I'll tell you why. Because if Vic said, all right, I'm getting a lot of complaints about logistics, people are saying it's too hard, I'm going to make it easier, people like me who like the old system would complain like hell. And I would as well. I'd be like, no, I don't want it to be easier. I just want it to be more transparent. Make it more transparent. Tell us how it works. I want to know. I want to know formulas. Tell me how it works. Then I can predict what's going on with it. So yeah, this is a difficult issue to deal with now, I think. And I like that Vic is trying all these different things. I think it's great. You might find at some point he might just go, you know what? I'm just going to make everyone use mid-core logistics, or I'm going to have an option. I'm going to split it into options. What do you want? Mid-core, hard, whatever it is. I think that's how it's working at the moment. I like that. It probably is going to at some point. I do wonder if he's going to have to pick one, because having to get the AI to work with 3 different logistic systems, because obviously if we already see that people complain that the AI cheats in inverted commas. The AI cheats because it doesn't build roads and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, yeah, and now he's now got to kind of consider those complaints with 3 different systems, not one. So there you go. But yeah, that's my thought on that. Like, great. I think it's great if he's making it easier for people to play and more people enjoy it. Great stuff. Personally, I like it as it is. I just want it to be more transparent. I want formulas, but I don't think we're gonna get that. Small fix to private economy, reopening will close mothball. Okay, blah blah blah. Small fix to farmsteads. Yeah, I'm not bothered about fixes too much. Payload optimization tech also impacts rockets. Maritime trading house size offers almost nobody. I mean, nobody was using the 25k one anyway. It's more practical. Also fixed a bug in the MTH contract size. Okay, that's cool. Walkers now benefit from infantry combat AP bonuses from postures. All right, cool. All right. Good stuff. We're nearly there, folks. It looks like there's another big one. This patch sort of wraps up all my intended changes labelled in my dev planning under snowballing. The latter might not have been the most apt wording, but well, I did finish a lot of balancing and fine-tuning. I think actual snowballing will only be addressed in Republica. It will probably still require weeks to fix little stuff, newly caused bugs, and to assess the actual game impact of all these recent changes. So please do keep discussing it. Your feedback is great. It's been indispensable. I will mellow down now and focus on finishing all the ready changes and some new art. Plus the much requested defensive combat reports. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad he's doing that. I didn't think he was ever going to do that. I did wonder if that was going to make the computational cost of the AI, or the computational cost of the term processing too high or something, but he's putting it in. Great stuff. For the mid-late game, I added 2 new techs, logistical optimization in linear and automated logistics binary. Together, these allow you to quadruple the logistics points generated by your assets. Awesome. I like that. SAM launcher firepower versus air have been doubled. We changed it to a single combat round 5 instead of up to 10. This should also divide its ammo stocks by a factor of 10. Ammo compaction tech now has a different effect from lightweight ammo tech. Ammo compaction tech reduces the amount of ammo needed by the unit by 33%, so it saves ammo. Ammo combat stocks of other models is now plus 20%, so something actually remains full after 10 combat rounds of offensive combat. Kicks in with new model designs in running games. Fix the weird ammo usage of gas-powered weapons with ammo saver percentage on top. Okay, that's a fix. Keep going. Rename move mod to move AP cost modifier. Okay, that's a better thing. Now actually, it's patch primary focus on reducing some of the most blatant overpowered benefits related to artifacts. The cloning facility, for example. Oh, thank God for that. Hex perks and faction stratagems, just too many. Yes, and faction stratagems, too many fate packs. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to go through all of these. There's less artifact sites in general. He's increasing the cost. He's decreasing and he's just changing the frequency of certain things. Stuff like cloning facility. Eventually by the end of a long game of Strategy of Empire, you've usually got one in every zone, and people are relying on it. And when something becomes a no-brainer, I don't like it. So yeah, get rid of it. Or don't get rid of it. It's awesome when you find one, but they should be special. You should be like, yes, I got a cloning facility. Awesome stuff. Not, it's not something you should be having in every zone by the end of the game. So yeah, great stuff there. Hex perks. He's reducing the energy production stuff. Sorry, I just hit my mic. Reducing the number of faction stratagems you receive, basically halved it, but even more so on high difficulty. Okay, I think I'm going to start playing the game back on hard rather than extreme, because I think that, the game's going to be way more difficult now. Fate stratagems. Okay, this is just increasing the, like changing the frequency of stuff. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, guys. I'll let you read that if you want. Just because I don't want this video to be like over an hour. Here's some interesting stuff though. Fate strategy and fate point costs have been reduced by a lot of them. So exotic combat drugs, things like ancient depot. Yeah, he increased that to 5. That was crazy. I just didn't use it after that. I just didn't bother using it. All of these things like mountaineers, sandline, like this now allows you to really give your troops more variation. Like 4 fate points for mountaineers was ridiculous, and I just wouldn't use it. Like, I need my fate points for when I need an emergency cash injection usually, because I'm always playing a little bit hot when it comes to credits because of the way that I play. And so I kind of, I wouldn't bother, just upgrading 1 unit to mountaineers For 1 fate point though, that's really good because it is a really good. It's a really good card. That is spotters as well. High tick volt's gone down. Scientific outpost, good. Okay, he's generally reduced the cost of all these things. He's probably not seeing them being used. Great stuff. All right, we're nearly there, folks. We're nearly there. And this is the new one. So 1.21Q finally added new graphics for leader portraits. You can enable them in preferences, new graphics once you start a new game with this latest version. You can switch between old and new graphics for a running game. And then it's got some stuff for modders. And okay, that's it. Just some fixes. Great stuff. So we're there. Sorry about the length of the video, guys. I just thought it would be interesting for you to see my reaction because I've not seen any of that stuff. I will, when I get a minute, I will record a short series of Shadow Empire because I really want to play it. Like, it is one of my favorite games. I sometimes think it's my favorite game. Then I think of Conquest of Elysium, and then I think of Dominions. And now I've got Galciv 4, which I also really like. So I'm starting to find like a bunch of games that are kind of also really good. But I've got a special place in my heart for Shadow Empire. I've invested a lot of time and energy into this game, and yeah, to see that, you know, I know that Oceania probably didn't sell that well, and so to see Vic still powering through and just treating this like, you know, his absolute magnum opus is just so, it's so heartening. And, you know, all of this little stuff, you know, you just think, wow, all these, especially the, where were we? Like all this stuff with the higher costs for things, making, you know, resources more scarce and interesting, you know, just making different weapon types more usable, you know, stuff like, yeah, I just love this. This is great. And it just shows that he's so serious about making this the best game ever. You know, adding mines and also these camouflage techs. Yeah, brilliant stuff. I think this is this one change, right? Making it so the net effect of making it so that spies just can't see everything anymore. You know, now they can mostly see assets instead of your military formations. I think that's just such a great change. That has really. Let me test it first to make sure it's working okay. But really, that just sounds like the best stuff. Especially if you can really focus your troops into being really stealthy. I love that. I love that. That's so cool. You could airdrop stealthy, you know, infantry back behind the enemy lines, and they could struggle to see them. And how cool is that, eh? That's a really cool thing. All right, guys, I'm going to end the discussion here. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.